Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to highlight the rampant fraud, waste, and abuse in Medicaid that is draining American taxpayers and is hurting our most vulnerable seniors, disabled, and other Americans who rely on this program. Yesterday, the director of the Office of Management and Budget, Russell Vought, told us something shocking, that 1 out of 4 Medicaid payments are improper payments. 1 out of every 4. This echoes a 2024 report from the Biden administration's Office of Management and Budget that designated Medicaid and Medicare as a high priority for susceptibility to fraud, waste, and abuse, and improper payments and overpayments. And in 2024, the Government Accountability Office released a report estimating over $100 billion in improper payments were made in the Medicare and Medicaid programs for the fiscal year 2023. Now, we could read you some of these headlines that highlighted in the media. A CNBC report that detailed how Medicare and Medicaid programs are being brazenly targeted by sophisticated criminals to the tune of $100 billion a year. Lack of state oversight spurs Medicaid fraud, says Spectrum, New York. Scammers ripped off New York's controversial Medicaid home care program to the tune of $68 million. New York Post. New York Times says staggering rise in catheter bills suggest Medicare scam. Florida man indicted for Medicare wire fraud in a $97 million scheme. Medicaid program suspended from 2 South Jersey nursing homes after being accused of taking $83 million from nursing homes funded by New York Medicare and Medicaid. Fiscal year 2023 proved to be a high-value one for healthcare frauds and settlements, with the DOJ totaling $2 billion in illicit activity. California Attorney General Bonta announces indictment of Southern California healthcare provider for Medicaid fraud of nearly $60 million. CEO of digital health company arrested for $100 million Adderall distribution and healthcare fraud scheme. New York doctor convicted of $24 million Medicaid fraud scheme. Attorney General Tish James announces convictions and sentences of 5 taxi company owners in Orange and Rensselaer counties for stealing millions in Medicaid. Florida telemarketer sentenced to 15 years in prison for $67 million in Medicare fraud scheme. Hill County doctor in San Antonio sentenced 10 years in prison for $26 million in restitution for Medicaid fraud scheme. I can go on and on reading headline after headline about the rampant fraud and abuse in this program that is actually taking away. That's what's hurting our vulnerable Americans who rely on this program, the fraudsters who are stealing the money. Now, my governor, Kathy Hochul, lied to New Yorkers about what Republicans are really trying to do. Our real goal is to root out this wage, fraud, and abuse to protect benefits for our eligible recipients. And Kathy Hochul said it herself. In her own words, she pointed out how fraudulent the program is. In July 2024, the governor said, the state's Medicaid consumer-directed personal assistance program has, quote, become a racket, unquote, and said it is, quote, one of the most abused programs in the history of New York, unquote. And she said that the current trajectory of Medicaid spending is, quote, not sustainable, unquote. Other Democrats have pointed out the same things. Attorney General Garland, that was President Biden's Attorney General, in a 2024 speech regarding health care fraud, he announced charges against 193 defendants for over $2.75 billion in false Medicare and Medicaid claims, and that was just one event. New York Attorney General Tish James, in a January 2025 speech, she said, quote, companies that illegally profit by exploiting Medicaid patients steal taxpayer money and undermine the healthcare system that all New Yorkers rely on. So to my colleagues, Republicans and Democrats, let's work together to actually fix this. Let's work together to go after those fraudsters, to eliminate this abuse that we're seeing in this system, so we can preserve this very important program that our seniors, our disabled, our children with developmental disabilities, and vulnerable Americans rely on. Let's not play partisan politics with something that is so critically important to so many New Yorkers and Americans across the country. I yield back.
The chair